Imagine a man who everyone in his neighborhood trusted, a man who hosted barbecues, visited hospitals dressed as a clown to make children laugh, a man who shook hands with local politicians and smiled in every photo. Now imagine that same man living a life so dark that even detectives couldn't believe what they eventually uncovered. This is the story of John Wayne Gacy, a man whose friendly smile hid one of the most disturbing double lives in American history. To understand Gacy, you have to understand the illusion he built. In the 1970s, Gacy wasn't just a normal resident of the Chicago suburbs. He was a model citizen. He ran a contracting business. He volunteered in his community. He dressed up as Pogo the Clown for charity events. Parents trusted him. Kids admired him. Politicians invited him to dinners. He was the man who remembered birthdays, who lent you tools, who waved at you from across the street. A man impossible to suspect. But behind that smile, something darker was waiting. Under the surface, Gacy's life wasn't as spotless as it looked. He had a past, one he fought hard to hide. Years earlier, he had been arrested for an offense involving a young boy. He served time, but when he got out, he was determined to rebuild his image, and he succeeded. Chicago saw him as a success story, not a warning. But small signs began to appear. A worker at his contracting company went missing, then another and another. People whispered, families worried, but Gacy always had an answer. They ran away, they quit, they moved, and because he was trusted, people believed him for a while. Throughout the mid-1970s, young men began disappearing around Gacy's neighborhood. Different faces, different backgrounds, but one thing in common: most of them had been last seen near Gacy. The disappearances felt random, disconnected, until a mother reported her teenage son missing. He had been on his way to meet a man from a contracting company, the company owned by Gacy. This time, police started paying attention. They interviewed Gacy. He was calm, polite, friendly. He joked with officers, offered coffee, talked about politics. And once again, the mask worked. The investigation stalled. The clues didn't connect. And Gacy went back to his ordinary suburban life until one December night, when everything changed. The case finally cracked with the disappearance of Robert Peast, a teenager who vanished after telling his mother he was going to speak with Gacy about a job. This time, police didn't back down. They began surveillance. They followed Gacy everywhere. They watched him panic, break down, and attempt to shake them. As detectives tightened the net, Gacy began acting strangely. He confessed to friends. He rambled. He drank heavily. The double life was falling apart. Finally, police were granted a warrant to search Gacy's home. No one could have imagined what they were about to uncover. Detectives walked into the basement and noticed something unusual: the smell of damp earth. And something else: they lifted wooden boards. They examined the crawl space. What they found beneath the house would become one of the most shocking discoveries in U.S. criminal history. Dozens of victims hidden beneath the floorboards. A secret world Gacy had managed to hide for years. The friendly neighbor, the community volunteer, the smiling clown, had been living a lie once confronted with evidence, Gacy confessed. Calmly, softly, almost with pride, he described how he targeted young men who were vulnerable, alone, or looking for work. He relied on trust and charm and the belief that no one would ever suspect a man like him. His confession shocked even seasoned detectives. Gacy's double life, the public clown and the private predator, became a symbol of how evil can hide in plain sight. Gacy's trial began in 1980 and became one of the most widely covered cases of its time. His lawyers argued insanity. Prosecutors argued calculated cruelty. The jury didn't take long. He was found guilty on 33 counts, one of the largest totals in U.S. history at the time. Gacy was sentenced to death. Even in prison, he kept the mask on, painting cheerful clown portraits and insisting he was innocent. But the truth was already carved into American history. John Wayne Gacy remains one of the most infamous figures in the true crime world, not because of the number of his victims, but because of his illusion. He showed the world how deeply someone can hide behind a friendly smile, how darkness can live in plain sight, how evil can blend into everyday life. Without anyone noticing, Gacy's case changed the way police handle missing person reports. It changed how communities look at trusted members. And it remains a reminder that appearances aren't always what they seem. This is the true story of John Wayne Gacy, the man with two faces, one face for his neighbors and one hidden in the shadows of his own home. If you want more dark stories, forgotten crimes, and shocking historical cases, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more episodes of Stories of Criminal World.